Down low? Well, okay, that could be a concern, but it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. I'll areas gain on my mic input, and that'll fix it for me. I'm live now with Haven presently,
Hello.
and welcome to Director of Arketer Live. Spoiler alert, I'm not live in two places at once. I was trying to be, it didn't work out. Um, Suffice to say, still some misgivings about trying to be live in two places at once, and it just didn't work out this time. Although I may try it again in the future. Those of you who've seen me in the other place know where I am. I'm reluctant to say the word here because I'm pretty sure that's one of the things the predatory copyright algorithms and other YouTube fuckery is listening for. The R word. And I don't mean the one that's equivalent to mentally deficient. Though I'm not really a big fan of fussing over words in general. How are you, Haven?
I'm doing good. I learned how to knit this week.
Oh. I've never really been good with needles. I've never been knitting needles, so something I'm probably never going to do.
Well, they're very blunt.
Yes. I've heard they're incredibly useful in a lot of ways. I have never put them to any of those uses. Greetings in chat to Kefki, Hot Norse, Smithius 100, Green Badger Outdoors, good relevant time of day to you all, or night, as relevant. And, Case Show. I think I've gotten you all then. No, Rumpelstiltskin is fine. We can get away with that. Close to what might be forbidden now. It rhymes with rumple. I can say rumple, I'm pretty sure the algorithm is too dumb to pick up on that. In any case, if you aren't already following me on rumple, you should please do so. I would like to ensure I keep in touch with everyone I can. Meanwhile, this call is not full, so those of you who are aspiring to be guests, it's not possible for you to join yet. However, we're going to roll with what we've got for now. First, as recommended by one Lunarshine, from CBS News, death of worker ingested into plane engine at San Antonio Airport deemed suicide. Notably, I wonder how they came to the conclusion, because it seems like it's entirely plausible someone might just stupidly wander in front of such an engine and thus go out like a complete doofus. Certainly people have gone out of their way to die in stupider ways without necessarily intending to. The Titan sub comes to mind. That was entirely intentional, but it wasn't a suicide, even though it was dumb enough to seem possible. If, he hadn't dragged somebody down with him.
There was this old ad from, I think it was the UK Metro, where they made a song called "Dumb Ways to Die."
Oh, I've played it on SRS. I've sung it on multiple occasions.
I like it. It's a good song.
I'm particularly fond of it. I have a new custom mug, if you weren't aware. I'm very proud of it. Designed it myself. It's not available for wider purchase, but if there is a desire for it, those of you who have a 3D printer, I can make it. And yes, he was ingested by the plane engine. Not eaten directly, per se, but nevertheless taken in and partially spat out, maybe? Probably not entirely. I'm guessing it broke before that point. Hard to say for sure. An airport worker who died Friday after he was ingested into the engine of a Delta plane at San Antonio International Airport, the National Transportation Safety Board said. Delta Flight 1111 had arrived at the airport and was taxiing to the gate on one engine around 10:25 p.m. when the deadly incident happened, officials said. The plane, an Airbus A319, had just arrived from Los Angeles International Airport. His death was deemed a suicide by the Bexar County Coroner's Office, confirmed Monday. How does a coroner determine a suicide with a man who got sucked into a plane engine?
I don't know.
I
Seems
don't.
kind of sus.
It's like thinking maybe some money went to the coroner to deem it thus. So again, there will no longer be an investigation of the event. Reportedly, there were no operational safety issues with either the airplane or the airport. The worker was employed by Unify, a company that Delta contracts to support ground handling operations. The Federal Aviation mission instead. Friday, the victim was an airport ramp worker. Blah, blah, blah. Hearts breaking. Feel so bad. No one believes it. Unify said that based on their own preliminary investigations, the incident did not appear to be related to company operational processes, safety procedures, or policies. This is the second type of this incident in 6 months. The 34-year-old ground crew worker was killed after being ingested. Are they so timid that they can't say sucked anymore? Is that it? Can't say they were sucked into an engine. They were ingested into the engine. As if that makes it slightly better.
I mean, it's slightly better than saying they were sucky-wookied into the engine.
Yes, I concur. Which is worse than just saying they were sucked into an engine. In fact, skin is still crawling. Greetings in chat. Maybe. Oh, indeed. This does not seem like it was properly a suicide. I can say sucked into engine though, and I'm going to say that instead of ingested. Although the word ingested has been very popular as of late in a lot of contexts. Moving on though. Quote-unquote, proper training and enforcement of safety procedures could have prevented this tragedy, OSHA Director Jose A. Gonzalez in Mobile, Alabama said about the December 31st, 2022 incident. This incident is tragic and minor that safety measures must be placed even for a routine assault. Which it doesn't apply to this case, because if it was a suicide, then he was going to pull it off one way or the other. He just chose to go out in the messiest way that does a tremendous amount of damage to his employer's equipment, or rather, his employer's equipment. After all, this wasn't being run by Delta itself, it was the contractor Delta hired. If it was a suicide, they should probably be looking into why. Because to really opt for, just kind of feeding yourself into an engine, I'm thinking you've got to have a hell of a grudge.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. No chewing took place here. Lots of chopping, maybe, but no chewing. But again, this is not the first time we've heard the word ingestion recently in a way that has annoyed the hell out of me. To specify, there's a lawsuit going on at an AI developer for their AI program having unlawfully ingested their books. Or so they feel they can prove. There were some people who don't really care for AI who were making a big deal of it on Twitter, and I retweeted it. I didn't load up the link to the article, though. I can't say I support the idea, because it's not... They can't make a plagiarism case. I don't think they'll see to that in a second. Anyone who publishes the AI's work as their own, and the AI just copy-pasted from another book, will find themselves surely hit with plagiarism. But they're now trying to sue just on the grounds that the AI ostensibly has been fed knowledge of their writings, and so they want it to be paid. I don't think it's going anywhere really.
Yeah.
In any case, let's move on to a lighter-hearted topic. If you didn't know, Baldur's Gate, the most recent game, is almost here. Absorb is not nearly violent enough. In this case, the engine sucked in the person, but it didn't absorb the person. If it had, it would have probably been a lot less damaged. Look, there was some promotional video for Baldur's Gate 3. Some backstory here. You're about to see a vampire elf, and what appears to be a bear, and physically is a bear, but it's actually a shapeshifter druid.
poor squirrel. Look at
I
what
want to
they
stress
did.
right now
They
that-
traumatized that squirrel.
Oh yeah, that squirrel unfortunately had too much intelligence so as to be able to absorb the writing, not the art in this case. It's absorbing literature. Sorry, I need to focus. Vampire elf fucked by druid, shapeshifted into bear. And I have to say, as far as things go for games, this is brilliant advertisement. We're all talking about it, aren't we? And this doesn't change the fact that there's an awful lot wrong here, which we can all agree this traumatized expression of the squirrel largely covers for most of us.
Yes.
No squirrel should be smart enough to be horrified by this, but this one was, and nuts will never taste the same again. That poor fuzzy little bastard. Once again, vampire elf, druid shapeshift into a bear, porking. I want to stress, this isn't actually a crime because it's entirely in fiction. In the context of the world it's in, well, it's really swimming in some pretty muddy waters, isn't it? And not just in one thing alone. This is blurring the lines between necrophilia, vampire, and bestiality. It's a bear's body, even if a druid's mind is piloting it. And the fact that they both want to screw in the bear body is... It's awfully dog botherish. Isn't it?
It's bad.
As a joke, it's just fine. And I do hope, if there's any sort of pairing like this, they need at least one traumatized woodland creature that has had its worldview shattered forever. Hopefully, we're not misreading it, and it isn't just excited. One never knows. One never knows. In this case, one never wants to if it's anything other than nightmare fuel.
I don't know if it's bad to say this, but the squirrel got so traumatized that it dropped the nut and is no more innocent.
Well, when we talk about innocence, squirrels are really cute, but they also can be vicious bastards who do things like raid birds' nests, eat eggs, even though they really don't have a reason to. And some of them can be so smart that we're not getting sidetracked. Bad enough, Baldur's Gate 3 has enabled this thing, which, on one hand, I kind of appreciate the fact they've given the player enough freedom to do this, even if it is an incredibly, profoundly poor taste. Really just super bad taste. Incredibly, terribly, awfully bad. Liver pate left out in the sun, then dropped on the ground, pissed on by a dog and run over by a truck. Poor taste. Also, and this is the important thing here, while I would defend this, I would not call for a boycott on Baldur's Gate. In fact, I think the game is probably going to be great fun. Functionally, this is no different from, oh sure, it looks like a lolicon, but she's actually a 3,000-year-old dragon. It's not the actual crime, but it's in such poor taste, I personally wouldn't want much to do with it.
Sounds like a dog whistle.
It sounds like a really desperate grasp for an exotic context that allows something that they would be better off cultivating no desire to even think about, really.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Baldur's Gate is still... I want to say this should not be negative to the game. I again think it was a brilliant publicity stunt. Terrible taste. I'm a little bit concerned by people who are super excited about the ability to do this specific thing. But if they have the same respect for freedom in general, then it could be fantastic. Just... We have to note, this does not necessarily depict necrophilia or bestiality, because it's a vampire. The corpse might even still be warm if, being a person who's not a fan of vampires, less loathsome for that. And again, bare body, human in, well, some sort of sapient D&D race's mind. I have no idea what manner of druid it is. Yeah.
What if it's also a vampire elf?
Might as well be, I suppose. Oh yeah, there's a lot of crazy crap that has happened in fiction in the past. Some sort of demon doing it with human in Elder Scrolls. Not surprised, yeah. I think the old scroll of the Elder Scrolls, Morrowind and so on, had some rather spicy content.
Yeah, especially the origin of vampires in Elder Scrolls.
Depends on the vampire, strict law, it would be. See, this is a matter of quibbling debate with most people, Kathy. But I fully agree. I don't particularly care for vampires in that context. I never found vampires sexy, and I have basically a lifelong grudge against vampires because I grew up in the age of Anne Rice's popularity. And as a young nerd, whenever I played a game online, every one of their cousin was some variation of the vampire Lestat, or a stat, or Lestit, or Lestwit. So usually the names were capped off in those olden days, so almost no one had the correct name, but that didn't stop them from using the next closest abomination, because they clearly had no pride.
Oh, Armando.
Bram Stoker's Dracula is better, but he kind of led to it, because before him, vampires were a little more than really annoying zombies. He made them cool, and then Anne Rice made them sexy. And, well, all I can say is that while I, like many people, absolutely hated the Twilight series, I feel a personal debt to Stephenie Meyer for killing the mystique of vampires, hurting them in ways I never could have. Stephenie Meyer, via Twilight, did more to kill vampires than a legion of Van Helsings. And while I still hate the films, I can appreciate that. But then again, I'm biased. I'm biased. Back to more horrors in reality. Not that we should get cocky here, because it's not like the UK is doing significantly better than the US. The Daily Mail, so again take that with a grain of salt, reports that 12-year-olds are being taught about anal sex in school, while 9-year-olds are told to masturbate for homework. A shocking list of plans used by teachers in UK classrooms. Exclusive schools across Britain taught kids to masturbate and have anal sex. Teachers have also indoctrinated children with false claims of biological sex. And, well, let's just skip to these bullet points. Mail Online can reveal that some children are taught that from birth until the age of 1, babies can experience pleasurable sensations by touching their genitals. Which is one of those things that might not be wrong. It's not as if anyone can properly explain that. It's just completely irrelevant and a disgusting focus, which reveals much about the person pushing it. Bullet point 2. Given ways for 12-year-old girls to orgasm while masturbating, including pinching or stroking the clitoris. Yeah, I don't think that's the place the school do.
It's not.
I got the impression that if that's going to happen and it's not the parents, it's just one of those inevitabilities of stupid kids talking amongst themselves. Oh, here we go. Given masturbation homework for pre-compulsory RSE service, a resource. By the way, that means major pogrom called for. It's time to break out the wood chippers. There's no backing that one. Told that girls as young as 12 can find sexual pleasure from anal, vaginal, and oral sex. Again, not something they have any... No. Taught that it's normal to want to masturbate during and even before they hit puberty. Again, they need to find out who felt this was important to discuss in a teaching course. Informed that it's normal for prepubescent children to be sexually attracted to anyone. Big fucking X on that one. No. Boy, they need to just compile a list from everyone who had any hand in okaying this. Told that gender is different from sex, but is much more intrinsic part of who a person is. So that's just a straight up lie. Sorry, your sex is absolutely more intrinsic. After all, it's in the very DNA. Taught that people can change their sex from being man to woman. No. One can change their appearance, they can change a lot about their physicality, they can be called differently, they can perceived as differently, but none of that actually changes the DNA. This is a bit of an irrelevance overall. Still, that's just false. Also taught that some non-binary humans are neither men nor women. Yes, there is such thing as hermaphroditism. It is rare as a fucking unicorn, and it's a condition that no one who has it wants to make a big show about having. Because I've gotten the distinct impression it really kind of sucks.
Especially since all hermaphrodites who have been recorded have been also recorded as sterile.
That's big mistake when you take something that is a rare fluke of nature that might be the most clearest example of a genetic mistake and try and make it into a badge of honor, something covetable? No. Meanwhile, if you don't have DNA that has been scrambled in this fashion with excessive chromosomes and so on, well, I don't buy it. I'm willing to shrug off someone who wants to insist they're non-binary. I don't care. People can be wrong in a lot of ways, and I don't care. I'm willing to play along. It's no need to fight. But there's one major problem. There's absolutely nothing that separates a non-binary person, except for the hermaphrodites, from anyone who just says they are. And if that is the barrier, that is the dividing line, it's not something that can, I feel, be taken seriously. It just doesn't work. By that standard, I can become non-binary at any moment. In fact, I did once. By just declaring that I have, in fact, an entirely new gender. Which, in fact, many people have done. The list of recognized genders has grown exponentially since this became a thing that got slightly taken seriously, even little. I believe I chose mine as being squircob, which is very much like a heterosexual man in every way, but it's not. It's not binary, so you have to afford me all the luxuries you would give to someone who is non-binary. Because I said so. Which is exactly the metric by which they insist upon it. In any case, I'm getting off topic. Taught that men with male chromosome can actually be women.
That is an extremely rare occurrence.
Yeah, but it's, again, these examples, or these very rare cases, don't support any of this. And where it does trace back to blank slatism, Dr. Money, the product of those experiments are better labeled documentation of horrific crimes of child abuse. Those poor twins. Moving on to another exotic case. Once again from the Daily Mail. Mom begs for advice on how to tell her 30-year-old old daughter that her brother is actually her father. So much like the person who got sucked into an engine, whatever the reasons, be it accident or exotic suicide, once again, you can take some pleasure in the fact that you're not this poor woman. She didn't choose that. That's gotta suck. That's gotta suck. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Haven. I was rambling earlier. I feel like I might have potentially talked over you. Did you have anything you wanted to say that I might have?
Yeah, it was about like what you learned in Denmark from those. I've talked about it before, but we have something called a theme week, like once every quarter in basic school, which is anything before high school, where you learn about the body. Sometimes at least once a year. Sometimes it's about like the Bronze Age or Stone Age and something like that. But we have at least once per year a theme week about the body. And it starts out with being like, oh, we have organs inside of us and they work like this, or this is our digestion system, it's this long. And when we're about 9 years old, we learn about like boys and girls are different. And about 12, we learn how to put on condoms, and we learn about menstruation, unless someone in the class got their menstruation before then. But it's very basic shit, like something like that. And it's never perceived as a cool thing to go out and have sex before you're like in a committed relationship and you're not a minor anymore. I just think they're going too far. Like, even though some of the points are taught in Danish schools as well.
Could be allowed to slide. Some of them have no purpose save to render the child more vulnerable to grooming and abuse.
Yeah.
There's no plausible excuse for them for anything else. And the UK has a problem with this, Seville. It goes up to Prince, what's his face? The guy who can't sweat, who really should be made to sweat more regularly.
Charles?
And I wouldn't doubt... Oh. No,
well,
sadly,
kingdom.
he's...
Talk about Harry now?
I've forgotten his name.
But
Because
the only
I
two...
don't cultivate any particular care for the royal family. I'm just disappointed. I thought for certain the late Queen was going to succeed in outliving Charles. It seemed pretty clear to me that she really didn't want him ascending.
Yeah, but Corona kind of took its toll, I guess.
Yeah, I don't believe it was the disease. We're not going to go down that link. Greetings in chat to Yeps. Braden Cheddar, if I didn't greet you already. And acceptable channel. Yeah, there are some things that they're going to know by then already. Strictly speaking, if they've ever seen their parents take a shower to any capacity, then they already know those details. We're not talking about that.
It's more like teaching kids it's okay to have sexual feelings towards others. That's not really that normal before you're like 12, 13, 14.
It's not remotely plausible, and let's say that is by some rare fluke the case. The lesson would be, no, you're too young. Go play Nintendo.
Yeah. Go be a kid.
Okay, well, back to this tragic situation, and we shouldn't let this go past. Kefki said something really quite funny. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first one practices to conceive. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first one practices to conceive. Which is vexingly relevant. An honest woman wrote to the Atlantic's Dear Therapist column of advice. She explained her husband had 2 children and she had none when they wed. The couple wanted kids together, but her husband had a vasectomy years prior. On the bright side, this is ostensibly less of a genetic fuck-up. A mom has begged advice about how to tell her 30-year-old daughter that her brother is actually her father. The announcement wrote to the Dear the Rapist column. Who invented the word therapist? Shouldn't... You know, a lot of words have had a lot of words have been changed. Therapist seems like one they should have changed at some... In any case. She explained that her husband had 2 kids of his own, and she had none when the pair tied the knot. The couple both wanted to have a child together, but since her husband had undergone a vasectomy years prior, which could no longer be reversed, they had to find another solution. In the letter she sent to the publication, the unnamed woman wrote, "We didn't want to use a sperm bank, so we asked my husband's son to be the donor. We felt that was the best decision. Our child would have my husband's genes, and we knew my stepson's health, personality, intelligence, and he agreed to help. Our daughter is 30 now. How do we tell her that her father is her grandfather, her brother is her father, her sister is her aunt, and her nephew is her half-brother?" Understandably, the woman concluded, "My husband are anxious, confused, and worried about telling her." Although, I have to say, this is kind of a happy twist. You know, that's not... This is more of a unfortunate linguistic fuck-up. That just makes everything awkward.
Yeah, it could have been more like a sister-wife situation, I guess.
Yeah, there's no recursive family tree here, but the titles are going to make everything incredibly awkward henceforth. In response, columnist Lori Gottlieb, who is a qualified psychotherapist, said that there were 2 truths the woman's daughter would have to be forced to grapple with: the revelation about her biological father, and also the people she calls her parents have deceived her for 3 decades. I kind of hope that they can understand that that seems like the sort of thing one might be awfully tempted to put off for well over 3 decades. I'm thinking that was a mistake, though, because 3 decades on, it's probably going to burn more than they should explain that we got a donor.
Yeah.
Gottlieb then went on to offer advice on how best approach the delicate subject. First, she said it was essential to state facts simply and clearly as possible before apologizing. The expert urged the mom to take full responsibility for not telling her daughter the truth from the beginning, being sure not to make excuses. She explained that it was important for women to talk as little as possible during the initial conversation and instead prioritize the thoughts of her daughter, but last but not least, Gottlieb also warned the brother in this situation that he should also be told that the information is going to be shared, and in case his family of his own, that he wishes to tell ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, her advice is solid. I'd probably say something similar.
Aren't they like 20 years too late, though?
They're 30 years too late. They should have just been making this very clear across the board, so...
Yeah.
It became a funny family story, rather than a revelation, a traumatic revelation.
Yeah, traumatic betrayal.
You know, he's not... This has some corollaries to the vampire fucking a bear that's not actually a bear. And that, technically, none of this was a crime, but it is inevitably incredibly awkward. Just so long as the son was old enough to donate and did, like, there was like a turkey baster involved at least.
That means he's at least 48 years old.
Oh yeah, everyone here has to be pretty old.
Also,
no, he has to be much more than 40. He has to be pushing 50 or 60 now for him to be of legal age to... There's no way a 10-year-old donated. So...
he just needs to be 18 years old. But if you scroll down a bit again, I just want to say on the sideline, there's a woman with a very funny name.
Oh, acceptable channel
No,
is
no,
preparing...
no, no. Underneath.
Sorry, to,
Sorry.
wait, are you referring to one of these other articles? Because I have to inflict the Baldur's Gate stuff upon acceptable channel. I feel it's important.
Oh yeah, totally do that.
No, not Cocaine Bear. Druid shapeshifted a bear, fucking elf vampire bear. In Baldur's Gate!
Once again, poor squirrel. This is so terrible.
This should be someone's PFP now. So there you go. Now, acceptable channel has suffered as we have suffered. But funnily enough, you did mention Cocaine Bear, and it appears that Cocaine Bear has started something. For you see, Cocaine Bear parody, Raccoon, has ultra median stitches with its ultra low budget trailer and goofy title. Which now makes me think that that squirrel's going to turn into a crack squirrel. It's going to get in some D&D fantasy crack just to try to kill the pain. One more from the Daily Fail. The success of horror comedy Cocaine Bear has led to the creation of a new drug-fueled nightmare monster, Raccoon. A recently released trailer for film, a horror comedy seemingly inspired by a theatrical hit, has gotten plenty of laughs from viewers on social media. However, the film appears to have also upset some users of its title, with some funny and uncomfortable close to a racial slur. Which means that it's angered some real idiots. Just some people on the internet have been offended by the title of the movie called Raccoon because they heard that and thought, black people! And now they want someone else to take responsibility for being racist.
But it's a mixture, because you also have Cracker.
Yep, it definitely has absolutely nothing to do with people. It has to do with a cracked out raccoon. But they hear that, and they keep thinking black people, and have the nerve to be angry at anyone else for that.
That's so weird, though.
It's terribly common. The trailer opens with the drug dealer presenting a new product to stereotypical crack users, which he called acid mind drainage. Just like Cocaine Bear, the product is lost in the wilderness, where it's consumed by an unsuspecting creature. What the hell? Let's watch the trailer.
Old Denny here's got something a little extra special for you two tonight.
What the f*** you talking about?
Bro, I'm talking about the latest thing to hit town. Acid mind drainage.
Come on, man, it's my turn. Come on, man.
What you're seeing is the effects of a designer so-called street drug.
Tonight is gonna be the most epic night of our lives, man.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Danny, the party's over. What are we gonna do?
Be careful out there today.
I will. It's not like anything major's going to happen. It never does.
I need you to give the sheriff a call. We got 2 dead bodies up here on the mountain. I don't know. Maybe a bear or a mountain lion? I'm not sure.
I am telling you, it's a killer raccoon, okay? It's no on drugs and shit.
Raccoon? Can't be.
I would say the worst thing about this is that puppet. But it's hilarious.
So hilarious, though.
Good. I just want to take a moment once again to laugh at anyone who is upset over the title because they find it uncomfortably close to a racial slur. even though apparently the makers of this film were very careful as well, as it's only, you know, white people in it. I think they didn't want to risk the association themselves. In any case, at some point I'll probably be watching Raccoon on my Discord server, because I do that these days. Some of you already know, but if you don't, you should pay attention to whenever I tag everyone in the general chat. We might be watching movies, and you don't want to miss out on that, do you? Do you? I wouldn't.
Never. Except you always add everyone in the middle of the night.
Look, I can't account for everyone's relative time of day. I'm doing what I'm struggling here. This is a very diverse audience, all over the world, on different continents. That they've been assembled just to watch me on occasion is in itself something of a small miracle.
Yeah.
But I assure you, hey,
that's true, I guess.
Were it responsible for me to tilt the Earth or alter its rotation in such fashion as to ensure that all of my audience are on the exact same time schedule that makes it easy for them to attend my every broadcast in any form, I'd do it.
By the way, I have good news.
Oh,
we
what's
have 13 likes.
So it is. Thank you, everyone. This stream is now a success. Rumble's totally missing out. They would have enjoyed this, but they didn't, you know, okay the streaming time. So I had to stick with just the one. Someone in charge of streamlining that process should feel really bad right now. They won't, though. Well, from Raccoons to Meth Island. Florida Squatters Create Meth Island, complete with 4-story treehouse, a welcome center, and a trampoline.
Didn't we talk about this at another time as well? Just in passing, though?
If we have, I don't remember it. If anyone's in the chat
I don't
remembers.
remember seeing these pictures. I just remember that headline.
One group of Florida residents found a way around skyrocketing housing prices and created their own village. Some locals refer to it as Meth Island, others simply deemed it a nuisance. This outpost located on one of the islands near Dunlawton Bridge in Port Orange, Florida, just south of Daytona. Here's the map. We're not looking at it. There's actually several officially uninhabited islands in the area. It's actually pretty impressive. But when you don't sleep for days, you have lots of time to do things. Well, said is. Weirdly, no, I'm not even saying that. Just whenever I'm short on sleep, I find it much harder to get things done. What must it be like to not sleep for days and actually see a productive result? But certainly nothing to long for. This makeshift village had its own welcome center. There was a 4-story treehouse, living quarters. Not sure how they got out there, but someone had to set up the trampoline. They even had their own Airbnb with room for rent at $10 a night. Okay, strictly speaking, I would be inclined to look into that and find out if they are really meth heads. Because if they're not, that's just... well, smart. If no one's using the land and they manage to make it habitable, as far as I'm concerned, they should just be allowed to homestead it. Again, so long as they aren't actually using it as a meth island. But apparently it's been shut down by the South Daytona Police Department. Let's take a look at Meth Island. That's quaint.
They're significantly better made than the structures that are on the island that's north of the Dunlawton Bridge or any of the
Okay, that's a
cool
little habitat there.
It's pretty impressive, honestly.
And they had enough lumber to
The
expand.
number of structures has exponentially grown over the past few years.
bad. Trampolines would be in pretty good shape. That is not worth $10 a night.
23. It is
I mean, it's a
10:35
shelter.
a.m.
See, this annoys me. I suppose Florida has things a bit easier when this bothers them.
South.
San Francisco, California, all their hubba villages are right in the street in crappy Walmart tents. This is creative, and it's out of everyone's hair. They should find a way to encourage this. Who even owns that property? What the hell are they going to be doing with it anyway?
Might be the city owns it.
Well, that makes even worse of an idea to shut it down. Strictly speaking, if the city owns it, then aren't the squatters technically on property they, at least in the past, paid some taxes on?
I think so.
I'm thinking shutting it down was the wrong call, but we'll move on. Woman throws Molotov cocktail into bank after waiting in line too long. Okay. Hot take. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Now, obviously, throwing the Molotov cocktail into a bank over waiting in line too long, that's a bad thing. But, hear me out. If banks and businesses were more afraid of people in line tossing Molotov cocktails into the business, wouldn't they perhaps put a bit more effort into minimizing lines? Wouldn't that be a net positive?
Or maybe just teach the customers not to expect like immediate service.
I suppose they need to be clear about how long that's going to take. A California woman is heading to jail after she became so enraged waiting in line at a Southern California bank that she yelled, "I'm going to blow this bitch up," before throwing a Molotov cocktail into the bank, which means that she apparently walks around with some very high-proof alcohol and spare rags and a good lighter at least. Tyranny Millette, 35, of Gardena, was sentenced 2 years in federal prison after pleading guilty in March to unlawful possession of a firearm and destructive device. She didn't shoot anyone. And she sort of made the well, I suppose they would have nailed for bomb making if they thought of that. What at Bank of America? Oh wow, who here is going to feel bad for Bank of America? In Los Angeles, suburb of Torrance, in September of 2021, Millette spoke to a bank manager and demanded to be helped by another teller because she believed she'd been waiting for too long. When she was told no other bank tellers were available, Millette yelled, "I'm going to blow this bitch up." The bank manager quickly called 911, but a few minutes later, before cops arrived, Millette threw a Molotov cocktail into the bank, causing a fire in the middle of the floor. Another customer inside the bank extinguished the blaze as Millette left the scene. On her way to the parking lot, Millette threatened another customer and threw a glass bottle at their truck, damaging the vehicle. No one was injured. Well, damn it, Millette. Keep focused on your target, Millette. Keep focused on the target. The target's the bank, not the other customers. I wonder if
It's
they
kind of fun that she's named after a grain type.
Yeah, that's... Everything about this is pretty hilarious to me. Notably, fun fact, if you think you're going to lose your temper, or if you've resolved upon some manner of revenge, don't announce what you're doing before you do it. Look, you shouldn't do something like this, but if you insisted upon it, it just stands to reason you don't provide incriminating evidence and time to prevent it. Greetings in chat, or in Hellfire. We only have 10 minutes remaining, or else I would invite you on. So in any case, no one was injured. Police arrived after a minute left, but secured the scene and recovered the items she had on the floor. Law enforcement then used bank surveillance footage to identify Millette, who took absolutely no precautions for their own safety on this point, and didn't meaningfully endanger anyone else in fact. About 2 minutes later, police arrested Millet after leading authorities in a car chase in a stolen U-Haul van, which ended in a crash. According to court documents, inside the U-Haul, authorities recovered a gym bag containing 4 packs of glass bottles with tissue paper inserted in the bottles, a can of bladder fluid, and a 5-gallon can of gasoline. Millet sustained injuries in the crash and later received medical treatment. Wow. This is movie material.
Maybe she's just an arsonist.
Apparently, that long line at the bank was the final straw, and she decided, yeah, I'm going to burn it all down. And she must have planned to do a lot more if they busted her in a stolen U-Haul with a whole bunch more Molotovs. Well, I do wonder if I don't rule out the police sort of planting a few things. Nonsense movie material. This is Raccoon tier hilarity. We only have time for one more of these. Most of these were compiled once again by Angry Froman, who has not checked on this. But wherever he is, you should know his curation is appreciated. One more, and then it's time to just explain what the rest of the schedule is and what next week probably looks like. From SCDN Progress, Soto County Daily News, man wearing underwear and ski mask busted in Green Lawn Cemetery. This feels like a Stable Diffusion piece. I can't know that, but it certainly looks like a Stable Diffusion piece. Just after 8 p.m., officers responded to a strange report in Green Lawn Cemetery. The call reported a man wearing gray underwear and ski mask running around the cemetery. Officers caught up with the guy in the 1300 block of Park and took him into custody. They are still unable to access the database, so the suspect's identity remains unknown. Okay. That's funny and all, but is that technically illegal? I mean, he was wearing underwear. And there was no... Well... That was 1 week ago. Maybe further details will arise. I just want to know if there's a way to determine that it really is Stable Diffusion, because it feels very Stable Diffusion-y. Up to and including the fact that it just happens to have cut off the hands, which would have absolutely given it away if there had been more than 5 or less than 5 on any given. In any case, maybe disturbing piece. Glad we're up to 14 likes. And it's time to start wrapping things up. Thank you for joining me on this stream, Haven. Thank you all for watching.
No worries.
Nothing at all is happening tomorrow, so I don't expect it. Now, the day after that, I might stream movies on my Discord server. And then the day after that, there may or may not be a side quest. I don't know. No one's told me. I just roll along with things as best I can. Shouldn't want too much from me. I'm doing my best here. Then, Wednesday, I might stream a movie, or... Oh, really, I prefer to play Phasmophobia if I can secure 3 players. And then, Thursday will be the SCP review, which we'll go through this time. If anyone was really upset with missing the last one, sorry, it couldn't be helped. I had absolutely no internet connectivity at the time. It just could not be. And then, of course, Friday will be the next SRS, which will be on the streaming service whose name rhymes with Rumple. Unless I do succeed in being in 2 places at once with that one, which I might as well, I suppose. Even though I am still a bit anxious about trying to manage 2 chats again. I just feel terrible when I miss a message that's meant for me. I've never really had an audience personally that's so large that happens easily. But it's... if you're having me tab between tabs, that's almost certain. So I guess I just need to try to be a bit more of a jerk. Look, it's good I'm getting practice whenever I have to present Arcturus. Basically practice. And then the rest of the schedule you surely know in any case. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Swiftly. There's only 4 minutes left. Yeah. If there are any other creators, Horror and Hellfire, Brain Shatter, who would like to promote their channels, now's the time. Feel free to post your links. I hand out wrenches like candy, and this is the reason why, so you can post your links when you like. Because I trust you to do so responsibly and without malice. Or obnoxiously at the beginning of the stream when I'm still gathering my own audience. Because that would be kind of a dick thing to do, because it's kind of pulls people away. I'm sure it's not intended. Do you have green eyes, my good director? You will never know. But if you want, you can imagine they're any color you like. You can even imagine they're not there. With imagination, anything is possible. Which is a freedom I think we all need to appreciate. Definitely not green, though. Any other questions? Hey, do you have any other questions? I seem to have mismanaged the time, and there's still 3 minutes, because now that I thought I was wrapping things up, time has slowed to a crawl. Just
check your DMs just for a quick second and read aloud the title of the article that I linked you earlier.
Very well. Police in Poland seek man dressed like Christmas tree who slashed tires at a meat warehouse.
Yes.
You know, that was loaded up. We just didn't have... Turns out we didn't actually get around to it. Next time, next Saturday, we will start with police in Poland seek man dressed like Christmas tree who slashed tires at a meat warehouse.
I just saw it and I loved it so much that I had to share it.
It's weirdly specific.
Yes.
Much like a vampire elf being porked by a druid shapeshifted into a bear.
Don't show it again, please. No.
Sure, no. I've got like 2 minutes skill still. We're up to 16 likes, by the way, thank you. Excellent. Yes, Kefki, that is the way to do it. Please do. Every creator who is so kind as to watch my efforts is welcome to do the same.
I didn't know you had a YouTube, Kefki. I have to check it out now. Oh, there's tons of ferrets.
See, I want to know, this is why another reason I don't think artists need to fear anything from the AI image generators, because they're impressive, they do some really cool things, but they don't have original ideas on their own. And I guarantee you, my own tinkering with Stable Diffusion, because I have my own installation that I tinker with regularly, I don't think a month of efforts tinkering with pro and con text prompts could possibly result in a single still image of this madness.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, see, Stable Diffusion... I'm pretty sure Stable Diffusion has been ever so subtly discouraged from ever coming even close to this. Just a note, Haven. It doesn't actually show anything intolerable happening, even. That's filtered out and does not save for stream. All of the agony is just reflected in what we know the squirrel must be seeing.
The thing is, Ark, I think in pictures, okay? And it's insinuating a hell of a lot of things. And I don't want those pictures in my poor head.
You're mentally uncensoring it. That is okay, yes. Sorry. That was a bit rough.
It's terrible. I hate it. I haven't played any of the other Baldur's Gate games, but I've heard they're pretty good.
You know, I think I might want to play this. Not for that, though. I just thought it was kind of fun that you're dealing with mind flayers, and it seemed like it was pretty... Yes, indeed, again, so that was definitely a druid. We know that much, and I understand the elf is a vampire, and as far as we know, it's a vampire druid. In any case. Well then, definitely time to shut this down. I hope you are all well and recover from this smoothly. You should. If you've been hanging around with me long enough, your skin should all be thicker than that. Until next time, so long as progress continues, success is inevitable. Ostensibly.